it is right to mention that this is a very significant achievement to the Israeli security and intelligence establishments. Secondly, with regard to the Palestinians, there is no doubt that this event is something that closes the heroic event as it was perceived among the Palestinian public. But in a very paradoxical manner, I think that this is something that will maybe contributes to calm the atmosphere in the Palestinian arena, mainly the competition between the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas with regard to the prisoners issue, because Hamas perceives itself as the leader of the Palestinian struggle with regard to the prisoners, where the Palestinian Islamic Jihad actually stole the prestige from Hamas with this event. Now everything goes back to I would say to the traditional equation between the Palestinian factions with regard to the prisoners, and I think that things will be calmer after the last night event.
Now, many, while they were on the land, while they were still being searched for here, many had thought that they had escaped with help on the outside and the inside, perhaps. It appears, in fact, they had none, and not much of a plan even to go with it, as we mentioned here. But overall, what lessons now do the country learn from this chapter? What's it appear may change?
I think that the main lessons are with regard to the prisons, I would say, authorities, and they have a lot of work to do in this regard. But I think that this is something which relates also to the Israeli policy along the years. It's not only the current government or the previous government. There is, I would say, a sort of a traditional policy with regard to the security prisoners, which should be reconsidered after the last event. The idea that we are looking for achieving, the quiet or calm for the current period of time is something that eventually causes us to pay a very high price in the long term. And I think that this is something which is related as well to the broader policy vis-a-vis Hamas, vis-a-vis the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian arena. And the prisoners is another component in this, or another layer in this structure. And I think that this was a waking alarm for the Israeli establishment to reconsider its policy with regard to the Palestinian arena, generally speaking, and with regard to the prisoners and with regard to Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and the Gaza Strip in particular.
Yeah, certainly on the Gaza Strip, and about a minute we have left here now. What are the ramifications, or what do we know about how, obviously, with the Gaza Strip being a bastion of a stronghold for the Islamic Jihad and Hamas, here, their ability has been demonstrated in recent years to truly wreak havoc and start wars with Israel here. Where does this leave the situation in Gaza?
There are some indications that Hamas is seeking to reach to a broader calm agreement with Israel. I think that the Egyptians are very active in this regard, and the idea that Hamas, in the last days, arrested some activists of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in order to prevent the Palestinian Islamic Jihad to launch rockets towards Israel that will escalate the situation, is a sort of a signal about Hamas will, at least the will of Hamas leadership in the Gaza Strip, to advance the calm agreement or the understandings with Israel with the mediation of the Egyptians. I'm not a big optimistic in this regard, but I think that at least for the time being, Hamas does some efforts in order to prevent escalation and to promote or to advance calm agreement.